Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sally Berkery, and I'm the Managing Director of CEW UK. CEW was launched in 1954 to support the careers of women in the beauty industry. And since then, we have continued to provide a network that allows the members to connect together, to grow businesses and develop careers, and also to recognise the achievements of people from across the industry. Today, we're really delighted to launch the first episode in our new Founder Series, powered by global M&A experts Financo, which will centre around brand founders in the beauty industry. Today, we are thrilled to welcome Dr. Maryam Zamani, highly respected oculoplastic surgeon, leading facial aesthetics doctor, and founder of MZ Skin, who will be in conversation with aesthetician and world-renowned skincare expert, Caroline Hirons. Caroline was recipient of a CEW Achiever Award in 2019. She's an author, of course, and is the driving force behind the Beauty Backed campaign, which has raised over £400,000 to date to support beauty industry professionals via the Hair and Beauty charity. Please do ask questions via the Q&A panel at the bottom, and we will try to get to these at the end. But for now, I'm going to hand over to you, Caroline.
I thought we would start off, because I know what happens with these things. It always goes much quicker than you had planned, and you always end up sort of rushing through the end and trying to get through questions. So I have questions. I'll obviously do a little bit of detouring, being me. Why don't you just tell the lovely folks at home about you and how you got your career, how you got started? Let's do with that.
So I'm an oculoplastic surgeon by my background. So that means that I focus on plastic surgery, reconstructive and cosmetic around the eyes and the eyebrows and the forehead. So I did most of my training in the States, and then I moved here for love. And I had to do a lot of things over again, or I had to reinforce things because I wanted to be on the specialist registration. So I did a bit of a fellowship over again. I did oculoplastics again here with two really leading doctors who, one of them, Jane Olver, who is a really great woman. I should say Miss, because surgeons here are Miss. Miss Olver, she was amazing, Jane. She really helped me to get through the system. And during the time, hyaluronic acid was becoming really popular in terms of injections. And we were treating patients who had previous trauma or cancers around the eyes and had lots of surgery. And we were, using hyaluronic acid instead of doing multiple more surgeries on them as a way to compromise. A lot of times people didn't want to do all that stuff. And I loved this new founded use of hyaluronic acid. I then went on to do a little bit of dermatology. And I decided when I went into my own practice that I kind of wanted to fuse everything together. So I wanted to have the surgical aspect, but I wanted to use all the non-surgical as well. So basically my practice right now is really focused on all things surgical and non-surgical. And I started MZ Skin about 4 years ago. We launched 4 years and a week ago. And that was really by accident. So I was telling someone today, I think I'm kind of an accidental entrepreneur. I'm not sure if I would have done it if I had known everything before. Of course I would have, but I didn't really have it planned out. I did it because I really thought I needed to create one for myself and my patients.
In a nutshell. And I love that when we signed on, you said, I'm just out of theatre. I've been operating today, and we were all like, yeah, same. How do you find because you have children, right?
I do. I have two, 11 and 9.
I think we've got a bit of a delay, so apologies if that's my end. I'm just going to ask the sort of stereotypical cliche question that never gets asked to a man, but we are women. How do you manage doing the sort of working full-time as a working doctor, the business side of the skincare brand, the family, including the husband? Because I think everyone always asks the question and says, how do you cope being a mum of two? But no one ever says, how do you cope being like an entrepreneur, a doctor, in your case, having children, and like saying hello to your husband on occasion, in our case?
So, I mean, I guess it's always like a balance. It's a struggle. It's never perfect. Sometimes something gives in each department. I try to make it so, I could theoretically, have worked more or worked faster. I did take some time off when I had my kids when they were very young. and I work part-time in my office. So I'm there every day until, you know, about 2 in my working as a doctor. And then in the afternoon, I generally spend on the skincare. And my kids are a little bit older, so they don't come home until about 5 or 6. I'm try to be with them as much as possible during those times, and obviously on weekends and holidays. And then I go back to working usually after they go to bed. So, you know, that's my time. I exercise and I go to bed generally, and then I sit back down for another
I've
hour.
seen your Instagram.
I do like working out. It's my haven. It's like my me time.
You do like working out. I some of it, and I'm like, ow. And I kind of move with you while you're doing it. I get carried away.
You should come join me. It's fun.
I'll make tea for you afterwards, Maryam.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. So because you've already, I'm just looking at it from a point of view, if you're already talking about women in business, you're already obviously a very successful oculoplastic surgeon. Why, why would you start a skincare business and then start a podcast?
Well,
like you haven't got enough to do.
Yeah, you know, busy person just likes to be busy. I do like to be busy, so I can't say that I don't. I thrive on it, and I enjoy all aspects of it. So I'm having fun. It's not. I've never woken up and said, "Oh my God, I have to go to work today." You know, like I really do enjoy what I do.
Oh God, no, I love it. No,
I would say the skincare happened, as I said, by accident. You know, I've loved skincare. Rituals have always been part of my life. My mother gave me Lancome when I was like 15 or 16. And that was really something that became part of my routine, you know? So it was the thing that when I was in medical school, I would come home, I'd take a shower, I would put on my lovely skincare. At that point, it was Shiseido. I loved Shiseido. I spent a lot of money on skincare. I loved it. So I'd put pretty underwear on, and then I put my boxers and my t-shirt and go to bed. Like that's sort of like the way that I was. And then when I got older and I was more educated, I wanted to use more doctor-led brands that had more active potents and didn't just have like that wonderful sensory component to it. And so I tried a bunch of them. They were mainly made by men for women. And they felt really medicinal. And as much as that's great for skincare, I actually really enjoy the ritual aspect of it, because it's that little bit of time, even that 5 minutes of putting skincare, that made me feel feminine and pretty and as a woman. And so I felt that was kind of lost in translation, and I didn't care that they had great ingredients. I stopped using them because I didn't like how the whole experience was. And so I went back to, at that point, I really liked Natura Bise, another great brand. And so I was supplementing that with formulations that a chemist was making for me. And my husband said, you know, if you like this, I bet your patients would like it. Why don't you just make some and have it in your office? And that's really how it started. So very organically, I started making a few batches, and I didn't even have any branding. And I was very fortunate to, you know, through the help of another colleague who's actually also a CEW member, Tracy, I was introduced to Harrods, and they loved it. And they said, we don't have any women brands, doctor-led brands. You know, there's a lot of estheticians, a lot of nurses, but there are doctors that we're you know, supporting. And that's actually when it all started. I didn't really, I mean, I didn't even know what to expect, to be fair. So that's how that started. And now, I mean, it's so much fun. I love that. I always suffer from pigment. So I love skincare. And the podcast started because I really wanted to educate people. You know, it's more like a conversation I'd have with you or any other girlfriend, like, oh, you know, what are you doing? Like, what do you want to do? But having the facts, because I feel like, you know, people get mixed up what Botox and fillers are. They don't know, you know, LED is different than a laser, you know, like, so it was more of an educational. So I have fun out of that. It's a fun conversation with Fiona, and she's a great guinea pig because she loves trying everything. And I'm sort of like the one that's like, did you think about this? Or, you know, did you know about that? You know, that type of thing, just to educate people, really.
Now that you're very in the skincare realm, putting the doc bit to one side for a minute, how do you grow, sort of, number one, where do you look for sort of inspiration of new product? but also what do you do to have a point of difference? As you said, there's a lot of, no disrespect, there are a lot of men making products for women. What do you think you've done differently? I will say personally, shout out to the pink packaging. I don't care. I love a bit of pink. But obviously in terms of the formula, and where do you start with a new formula? What do you think, oh, this ingredient's amazing, I think I can make this work outside of my treatment room? Or
so basically, I wanted to have things that you could do in conjunction with coming to my office. So if you come into the office and you have any sort of non-surgical treatment or even surgical, you need to be able to do something at home. It's kind of like the workout. You can't work out once and expect to have muscles, you know? So you need to maintain whatever you're doing anywhere at home. And so I started with myself. I won't lie. I suffer from pigmentation. So for me, beautiful skin is like, you have beautiful clear skin. For me, it's having that clear palette and having that even skin tones. So whether it's from pigmentation, whether it's from acne, whether it's from rosacea, all of those types of things. And I wanted to create something that was concise and precise. I didn't want something that was difficult. I wanted a simple, consistent routine you could do that was very efficient. So, and also, very easy to do in the sense that you could actually throw it in a bag and go on an airplane. You can put it in your gym bag. So I wanted a consistent, simple skincare brand that felt beautiful, that was feminine, hence the pink and gold. And then I wanted something that was, that worked. So everything is clinically trialed. We've tried to stay away from the nasties. I would want to have, like, I don't have any, I've tried to make it sustainable in every way, so, there's no animal cruelty. Everything's made from recycled packaging. Everything that we can is recyclable. We've gotten rid of any plastic. But I really wanted actives that work. So I tried to have them packed with actives. But also there is a little bit of fragrance in there, to sort of hide some of the ingredient smells, because, some of these actives don't smell so great, let's face it. And I've tried to be conscious. So my brand is more about conscious than clean. I get annoyed with clean beauty because I don't think there's one definition. And I think people get confused by what that means. And so everything we've placed in our product is for a reason. It's not superfluous. It's not, because, we've avoided the things that we, have, not necessarily that are bad, but are thought to be bad, just to avoid that sort of controversy. But we've put everything in there for a reason. So I'm really proud of our little tiny range. And as I said, it's really to have that beautiful, clean palette and to really make you feel good about yourself and what you're doing while giving you good ingredients on top of it.
Where do you see it going? What are your plans to sort of scale? Because I love that you call it like your nice little brand. But what are your plans? Like, if you could pick sort of the dream of where you'll be in like 3 to 5 years, what comes to mind in terms of growth? Or is that not even like something you think about in terms of, it's not the reason you do it, it's not important?
So, I mean, when I started, that was nowhere on my radars. We're global now. I think we're in 52 retailers around the world. We're on pretty much every continent. We're growing. We have an amazing team. Can't believe I have a team. I mean, that's crazy. What I'd like to do, I mean, the plan for MZ Skin is really to focus on our partnerships that we do have. And I like to listen. So if someone says, I think we should do this, I'd like to do that even within my team. And just my ethos in general is I want everybody's input. If you think there's something out there that's not out there that you want to have, then I want to make that, So as I said, I started off with pigmentation, but it's more about even skin tone. So we're expanding our line to include those things. I'm not into at all like fads. I don't believe in fad skincare. So if, today is snail and tomorrow is venom, it's great, but that's not going to be an MZ Skin. No. I want ingredients that work. I want to know that they work in my combinations, and we're going to continue to grow. We have a very strong Asian market that's just even getting stronger, not surprisingly. And, I want to have just a really good network of relationships and partnerships where people are very happy with them, so I believe in longevity. So I don't want to have, like an order here, an order there. I just want to create that sort of relationship. And most of that revolves around education and teaching people what like these ingredients do and how to use your ingredients properly. I mean, I love in your book where you say, putting your eye cream on last is like putting your like that's just so true. But, it's some basics that, it just takes a little bit of education. So for my team, and for us, I'd like to grow even more. One day, I sometimes I pinch myself because I'm really proud of where we've gotten to. And no, I just hope to grow it and be as innovative and focused on results as possible while giving our clients and our customers the best possible skincare out there.
How has, going back to sort of the beginning of it, how has COVID affected you in terms of surgical aspects and then also the business side of skincare and running a team?
So I won't lie, we were all petrified. I mean, I thought, oh my God, this is like the end all. But I'm a glass half person, a half full person, not a half glass empty. So we said, oh my God, this is happening. We're going to react and we're going to take control of it. And we did. I have a great team. We worked amazingly remotely with like Zoom, like everybody else. We tried to
Zoom have made from all of us since March.
I know.
I'm interested. That's a founder talk we should have, even if the Zoom founder is, a sort of
a man.
But yeah, every time I do a Zoom, I think, wow, they could not have anticipated how much their business would have grown.
To be fair, I never had done Zoom before COVID. So, I mean,
no, I hadn't.
It's a regular word now, it's in the dictionary.
Full Zoom.
So, I mean, we reacted really quickly. Of course, I mean, we were very worried about all our partnerships because we have so many retailers and that's still an ongoing struggle. It's really sad and scary. I've always had a very big focus on online.
I was going to say, if you're online, then you're flying, right?
So, I mean, that's the thing is that I've been telling my team since the beginning, I unfortunately don't have time to go into stores unless I'm on a holiday and I happen to run in, like I go into a random store, but I do almost everything exclusively online. My kids even, I don't think they know what, I don't think they've ever tried clothes on in a fitting room anywhere, like I just, I get it online and then I send it back. I mean, good or bad, that's just the way that my life has become. And so we had a very strong focus online. And so I think that was a saving grace as well. And then also, I think also during lockdown, people took more self-care time, which is much needed, in times of great stress and, suffering and fear. And also in lockdown, you tend to do the things that are good for you. You tend to eat better, exercise, try and sleep, meditate, do your skincare routine. So I think a lot of people took that opportunity, which is great, to learn more about their skin and what they can do for themselves. Because actually, other than just being good for your skin health, it's also really good for you mentally to have a little bit of you time and however you can get it.
And maybe not in the first week or two. Don't put the first week or two, I was like, I'm going to watch SVU, I'm going to make tea. I'll tell everyone, I'm going to work till about 1. And then it doesn't, I mean, I was just online like this the whole time. I mean,
it was more fatiguing than my job. I mean, like, a Zoom, you can go from this Zoom to another Zoom to another Zoom. Whereas if you have a normal life outside of your house.
Like, I'll have a cup of tea and maybe visit the lavatory.
Exactly. You can't do anything like that with Zoom. I mean, some days I was on back-to-back calls. My head was going to explode. So then I had to take some step backwards and say, you know what, I can't do, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4. No. I can't just do hour-long Zooms back to back. So
I got really good at saying no during lockdown. Really good.
I feel like you'd be good anyway. I'm like trying to become better at that.
You just text me and go, what do I say to this? I'll just be like, you say it's not for me. I'm very sorry, it's not for me. There are better people out there to do this than me. It may not be true, but that's what you say.
Then you make everyone feel better.
Exactly. How did it affect you surgery-wise and being obviously an MD in the middle of the only pandemic, God forbid, that we'll have in my lifetime? I know I'm older than you, but in terms of, how did it affect in terms of surgery? When did you have to stop and when were you allowed back? And did you manage to do anything in between? Did the sort of
No. So when lockdown happened, I went on lockdown. Our clinic, I work at the Cadogan Clinic, and that was still up and running for only for, basically skin cancers and
Emergencies, yeah.
Yes, exactly. So I was locked down fully for about 3 months. Of course, I got lots of messages, could I come through your letterbox and have like a little jab here and there, or, can I bring you a cake, or, like those thinly veiled offers.
People.
I didn't do anything. I then went back at the end of June. I did not start operating until July. There's a lot of people who are taking the opportunity to have surgery and have treatments because they don't have to go into work, or they can, squeeze an hour here and there, or especially for the body, if you're on Zoom and you've had a breast augmentation or lipos, it's really easy to hide those things.
Don't tell them, doc.
Yeah, exactly. I know, but in that sense, it's happened. The eyes now have started to slow down a little bit because the only part that people see are your eyes, and so and also now with all the uncertainty, people are scared. They don't want to go on lockdown and then not be able to see me after surgery. They're scared. I have a lot of international patients who fly in and out. They don't know if they can stay, or if they have to quarantine again. So there's a lot of that uncertainty. My practice is generally always busy, but I do see that, surgery, people say, okay, we only have like this window because we don't know when the next lockdown is. So it's almost like a mad rush, but then a little bit of uncertainty. So, I've taken this time. It was, of course, difficult not to work. I love actually seeing my patients, and they give me a lot of inspiration too. But at the same time, it gave me a lot of time to focus on the skincare. And I wish I could bring out like 20 new products next year, because there's so many great things that we're coming out with and we've thought of and that we're formulating right now. But, we're small, we're relatively small, and we're not able to do everything at one time. So I just can't wait for you all to see all our new MPD. It's amazing.
Speaking of ingredients, before we go back to like doc things, what kind of thing do you prioritize when you're making a product in terms of ingredients? I know you touched on pigmentation and things like that. Is there anything in the line that you might want to make people watching aware of that they may not be aware of, whether that's a story behind a product, or how you came to include certain ingredients, any things that people wouldn't necessarily expect from you?
Well, a lot of them are tested and tried. So I have like a lot of, of course I have lots of antioxidants. I have vitamin C, vitamin E. I have one ingredient, cacao oil, which I really love. It's a natural ingredient that has natural vitamins like vitamin A, vitamin B, vitamin E, which is an amazing source of nutrients for the skin. I love placenta. It's one of the things that a lot of people were very skeptical about in terms of just having in a product. I use sheep placenta. There is no animal hurt in this. It's a normal labor process, and when the lamb is born, the placenta is extracted. There's only one place in the entire world, in New Zealand, that does. I was
gonna say, gotta be somewhere in the southern hemisphere.
Yeah. So, but it's really rich in nutrients. I'm a huge believer in stem cells. I think it's the way forward for not just skincare, but health and well-being in general. It's still not, there's still a lot of room for improvement, but everybody who uses these products really generally feel and sense, and even our studies show much more improvement in terms of hydration and thickness of skin depth. So in terms of wrinkle depth. So that's an ingredient that a lot of people are interested about. It is obviously we have 2 products that have this placenta, and obviously they're the only 2 non-vegan products that we have. I use a lot of encapsulated ingredients in terms of like retinols and vitamin C, just to decrease any sort of irritation with the skin. So I'm trying to get maximal impact without really having as much irritation, because I want to have a very easy skincare routine. And I think if there's any impediment to having beautiful skin, people tend to drop that one ingredient out of their skincare routine. And sometimes that might be the best one for their skin. So, and I've also tried to be multifunctional. So another thing, a lot of people in my practice, a lot of patients, they're like, oh, I hate sunscreen. It makes me white. It makes me pasty. I have like 15 in my, foundation or my blush, is that enough? And
Fine.
you know, so I try to make it so that it's easy. So I make my moisturizers with an SPF, so at least they're getting a 30 SPF in that. So, you know, in that sense, those are the way that I think is like to have synergistic products working well together. You don't need to have it 20 steps. I don't believe in 20 steps, but you need to have a few good steps.
Who has the time?
I have a lot of people do, apparently. Not me and you.
I don't think I know any of those people.
I don't either.
I mean, I can be brushing my teeth and drinking tea, sounds bizarre, and still rubbing. Like, why? Why? And also, you don't need to. I mean, if that floats your boat, knock yourself out. But
yeah,
what has been your sort of, in terms of talking about CEW and cosmetic executive women, what's been one of the sort of lessons you've learned along the way? And were there any kind of tough lessons or anything that you might advise to sort of people watching who are starting out, like, don't do this, or we found this really helpful, or like best practice? Any tips in that way?
well, I mean, I use this a lot because I had a mentor when I was in residency, and he told me, I remember I was going to start a practice in Washington, D.C., and he said, and everybody told me, don't do it. It's oversaturated. There's no room for one more. And I took advice from a lot of people, and I really wanted to be in DC. I live in Georgetown. I mean, I wanted to stay there. And I asked him, and he said, you know, Maryam, there's always room for one more. And he said, you know, maybe it'll take you an extra year. Maybe it won't take you any extra time. But if this is where you want to be, then you put your roots down here and you get going. And I want everybody to know, if they ever want to do anything, I'm so for that American dream. You know, if you want it, you can have it. You just have to think about it, plan it out, get as many opinions as you want. You don't need to take anybody's opinion. So, you know, the more you hear the downsides of different things, I think sometimes the better you are equipped to be able to deal with anything that comes your way. But I wouldn't let anybody discourage you. And I would take as much advice as you can. I am hugely thankful to a few guardian angels in my MZ skin life. Another one, like Selma, who is also a CEW member, she was like a guardian angel for me. I still don't know how I was so fortunate to come across her, but like there are some women out there that come out of nowhere and give you help. And I hope that I could always be that person for anybody else on their early path or their career, because those little glimpses sometimes make the whole world happen for you. So,
and they save you time, they save you money, they save you stress. Just having someone to go, look, do you know what, babe, try this.
Yeah, no, I mean, and it's just really, I think it just makes you feel really good. And you always have to celebrate the little things, because there's always going to be hiccups. There's no one that you see out there shining like a bright star didn't have a road full of crazy turns and ups and downs. But, you know, you have to celebrate all the little good things, because you can be like, oh my God, you know, like that happens. Like, oh my God, you know, like you know, that moment I walked into Harrods with my bags and I, you know, put our MZ skin on our newly minted, you know, sign. I mean, that was like, I mean, that was like Cinderella moment. I was like, oh my God, am I going to turn into like, are my heels going to turn into flats all of a sudden? I mean, like I was overdressed, everything, but it made me feel so happy.
Who were you dealing with in Harrods?
So when I first started, no, it was Lucy. So
okay,
junior buyer, and and now with Annalie. I mean, I love that whole buying team there. And then, you know, walking into Net-a-Porter to show my products, and I mean, I walked in there and I was.
That's an impressive office.
So impressive. Everybody's dressed in black and white and so cool, and the photo shoot's going on, and I've got my little bag here of pink, and I was like, I wanted to be there too. I mean, it was so invigorating. So I would say anybody going out there, you know, take some time, you know, do your research, stay true to who you are. There are a lot of brands out there. There's a lot of great brands out there, but everybody has their own ethos, and you can't take from everybody. You have to have your own identity. And if you have that identity and you believe in your product, then everybody else will as well. And I do believe, like, you know, for me, as a doctor, I really wanted to have the clinical trials. I find that really important for me. So you have to find the pillars, you know, that are important. For me, it was reveal, enhance, and protect. It was that it was clinical, but I felt that I needed it to be beautiful. and I really wanted to be practical. I have a very hectic, busy life, and I wanted my skincare to be, you know, easy so that I could consistently use it. Because the only routine that works is the one that you're consistent with.
It's the one that you'll use. I'm always asked that question about SPF. What's the best SPF for me? And I just say the one that you like.
Yes,
I could recommend 10 SPFs for you. They'll all be a 50, for example. But I wouldn't advise you buy any. I'd advise you find them, test them, because if you don't like the smell, you won't use it. If you don't like the texture, you won't use it. If it's too heavy for your skin, you won't use it. Even if it's been rated as the best product on the market, you're not going to want to use it.
Absolutely.
Speaking of the States, just for a second, backtracking a little, not getting political about the current situation, but when you were training and doing everything, everyone's a bit, did you face any sort of discrimination and barriers in that way, either from background or your name, which is not Sarah Smith, let's face it, you know, in America? And I say that with someone who's 50% American, so no one's allowed to have a go at me. But yeah, did you experience any of that coming through?
You know, it's interesting because when you're young and you're young, you're kind of like, you know, you're kind of cute, whatever. You actually don't notice what's going on around you, because sometimes it's to your benefit. And then as you get older, you see it all around you. Mm-hmm. And even now, I think there's a lot of, I mean, definitely in surgery, definitely in the medical world, being a woman, there are, you know, drawbacks to it. People don't necessarily, even your colleagues don't necessarily look at you the same way. Obviously, the younger generation, hopefully we're changing that, but definitely with the older generation, I still feel it to this day. I'm Middle Eastern, I'm Iranian, very proud of my heritage, but I grew up in America, born and raised there, and now I live in London. I think I'm a citizen of the world. I have to say, interestingly, you know, my MZ skin team is more than 50% BAM, not intentional, but that just, you know, I've always really supported all women, and, you know, I'm very proud to have that. I did have incidences in my life where either my race or my gender played a role. I didn't let that be my defining moment. So I kind of think sometimes you do have that, unfortunately, and you have to just be, you know, double better than anybody else so that you can prove your point, which can be very frustrating. I won't lie, there are plenty of times where, you know, things have happened and I'm like, whoa, that would never have happened if I was a guy. But I try to educate people, and, you know, like Ruth, I'm nowhere near like Ruth Ginsburg, but you know, when she says that you can't shout, you have to, you know, you have to try and talk people. Yeah. I think by showing people is the best way to educate people. And so, yes. So, I mean, I tell my daughter that every day. I made her watch the movie on RBG and the documentary, and, you know, told her all about who, you know, what an amazing woman she was, because actually it's all those people who trailblaze before us. You have to make sure that your voice is heard, and you don't necessarily have to shout the loudest, but your presence alone can change things. So
that was a lesson for me in recent years, Doc. Saying don't always need to shout, Caroline. Although I stand by screaming at government, absolutely.
No, you know,
but yeah, I definitely have learned about actually sometimes the more silent I am, the more the point is made.
Well, especially because, you know, we know how you can shout. No, but, you know, everything in its place, you know, so
when it's needed.
And medicine, you know, the thing is like being American, people are a little bit more direct. So in England, you know, especially with male doctors in England, you know, there's
a lot of skirting around.
So, you know, it's all very, you know, very
lip.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, you don't want, I feel like if I, you know, as an American, I can be very hysterical too, but if you do that, then you're like the crazy, you know, woman who's hormonal. So you know, it's like almost like you can't win either way. So, but I do try to just show, and I just carry on. I try not to, I try to brush it off. My husband once said to me, which was very true. He said, look, there's a certain way that people think and the way they're going to react and behave with you. Either you have to decide in your head that's how they are, and you can't really change them and continue on your path, or you have to change your path and go somewhere where you're not going to find it. And he said, but you're always going to find it. So you just have to stay true to who you are and just carry on. And so that's what I do.
That's a good husband. My husband, bless him, as you can imagine, has been on many the receiving end of not at him, but me ranting about, this is back when I was an employee. I'm sure knowing me, you'll know I didn't really fit. I was like a square peg in the round corporate hole. Didn't really sit well, like having someone half my age give me an appraisal because they got the job because of who they knew, and I just can't help myself. I have no poker face, as we know. And I would just be like, you stroll in at 10, but okay, like just bad. Yeah. But you definitely I learned how not to treat people through that process. I was very aware of clocking. That feels really bad. I won't be speaking to people like that. Not that I had done it, but like just picking things up along the way, and like eyeballing how someone speaks to someone. And there's just something you kind of learn as you grow through, right? Yeah,
absolutely.
And also with you being a doc, there's got to be that you've got to be way more intuitive. I would think, surely I would think maybe I'm just putting this on you because you seem to be, but you have that kind of, the empathy button is there waiting to be switched. So you can, oh no, I've seen you working out. I know what you can do. But I mean, just in terms of if you're in a situation, I can imagine you can take the road of being factual and scientific and calmer.
I try, but we all have at the end of the day, I'm a hot Middle Eastern woman too. So, I mean, like
that.
But at the end of the day, I think it's really, you always have to feel comfortable. I try not to, what I try not to say is, because I think about things a lot, I try not to say something that I'm going to be thinking about for the next 2 weeks. Like, oh my God, why did I say that? Or, that's what I'm trying to avoid essentially. But again, I think that's a really good point. There are some situations where I've made to feel very little. And that sort of, and a lot of times just because I'm a woman. And
that's my favorite.
Yeah, that's something I really, that has no place in my house or in my life or in my business.
Amen.
In anything. So unfortunately, I've been raised by very, my dad, my mom's a doctor, my dad's a doctor. My dad put my mother
underachievers.
And my mom had 4 kids. I mean, and my dad always said, look, this is your mom. She's like here and I'm down here. And he was always super appreciative of everything. And so, I've even seen it in my own family. I remember this one time, someone commented, I made dinner to my grandmother. And he was like, aren't you so proud? She made this delicious meal. My grandmother said, she's a surgeon. Of course she can make this delicious meal, And I just thought
such a grandmother thinks that she's a surgeon. Drop that in everywhere. My mother would tell everyone if I was a surgeon. Everyone.
And this is my grandmother who had 15 kids, never went to school, and just, and from a very, very, very culturally, very different kind of world where women were always homemakers. So for her to have like that,
love it.
I mean, I was like, go Granny. I mean, I love her so much. She's just a cutie pie.
Oh my God. Yeah. My granddaughter's a surgeon. Literally.
Imagine. You might say that.
Ugh, I worry for the next generation after my family. Right. So I know they're going to start telling us we need to wrap up. So I'm just going to hit you with a couple of bits. One is, what is your favorite thing to do surgery or treatment wise? What do you go, oh, I've got that today?
Oh, you know what? I love everything. Everybody always asks me that. I really love everything. Like today I was operating. I love being in the operating room. Even though everybody has similar surgeries, they're all different. And I just, like every time I remove fat from the lower eyelid, it's like I've seen fat for the first time. I mean, I just love it. So, I mean, I can't say like, sometimes I take the skin away and I'm like, oh, that's just such beautiful anatomy. So, I mean, I love all surgery. I love all my treatments. I mean, I can't say, because I just feel like the things that I love the most are the things that you can see quite immediately. So like that, those immediate gratifications. So I love doing fillers in different parts, like, you know, in tear troughs. I love doing, you know, upper eyelids. Sometimes when people are really hollow in the upper eyelids. I just, you know, when people feel really heavy. I mean, I love all of those things. You know, of course, I love the things that have delayed gratification as well, but they're harder to get excited about because you have to wait a little bit of time before you can see. But
how did you end up in eyes?
so I always loved plastic surgery. And after I went on a medical mission to Thailand. I raised money for this charity called Operation Smile, only because like the son of the founder was in medical school with me. And it was, you know, I raised money by going on a bike ride with everybody. And I raised a lot of money, and they said, do you want to come on a mission? And I said, I'd love to. So I went to Thailand, and we did cleft lips and palates for 2 weeks in the middle of nowhere. And women and men and kids would walk. When I say walk, they would literally walk,
Yeah.
you know, days or weeks to get to us. I don't even know how they found us, with the most crazy clefts you've ever seen. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And during that time, I mean, I always loved the plastics portion of it. I didn't want to do, at that point when I was doing residency, it was after medical school, it was another 6 years of general surgery, and then another 2 to 4 years of plastic surgery.
Wow.
And I didn't want to do all the body work. I never liked the body. I was always the face and above, like always. And I didn't want to learn how to do gut surgery and, you know, bypass, you know, like I didn't want to do any of that. So there were only 3 ways to do plastics. One is plastics, one is ENT, and one is ophthalmology. And when I did ENT, there were so many cancer patients and all these neck dissections.
Right. Yeah.
It actually was very heavy. And I mean, I was at a place that had a lot of neck cancers. And so it just made me sad. And I wanted to have a happy job. That's what I loved about Operation Smile. I'd do something and like really quickly. And I was a student. I wasn't doing the surgeries. I was, you know, helping do all the back work and stuff like that. Or I got to suture a couple of times, but I wasn't doing any of the main things. But that immediate gratification of those people being so happy, that made me really happy. And so then there's ophthalmology. And so I went down that route, and I love it because I love everything really precise and neat and fine. And so it totally fits my personality. And so, yeah, I'm really happy. I love what I do. Can't believe there's other professions out there.
Oh, what's next?
Gosh, what's next? Lots of really great products that we're innovating. We're expanding our team. So we're always looking for new team members, which is always very exciting. And just more of the same, you know, I just nose to the ground and just doing my thing. Nothing crazy. What about you? What's next for you? Another book?
Oh God, no. Why? I mean, it's called The Ultimate Guide. What would I then write? Oh, I forgot a bit. No. I'm very much you know, besides the professional qualifications, but I'm not a writer. I'm a blogger that wrote a book, and I recognize the distinction. They're very different. You know, they're very different things. It was not a pleasurable experience for me.
Really?
Oh, God,
So you don't recommend I write a book?
You can write a book. You're fine. You've had to do dissertations and I had blogged for 10 years with no editing. So it was the first time I was edited. I mean, no, it's just not for me, but you should write a book.
No book in my future, but no, lots of great skincare products. And, you know, I just love trying out new things. So I'm always trying new things and then bringing the things that I like into my practice. So if I don't like it, I don't do it on other people. So, and I've tried everything except for surgery, I've tried everything that I do.
Fair enough. I mean, you don't look bad on it, Doc. Let's face it. You're a nice advertisement.
87 years old. So, you know.
You're 87. Oh, good, looking well. Good.
I've done pretty well. It's MZ Skin.
Yeah, I'm 89. I did say I was older than you, remember? Well, thank you. I don't know if admin or Sally want to jump in and see what we're going to do for our little ending. There's like 4 questions in the Q&A, but I do think we've answered them, I think.
Unmute. Yeah, I think we've answered all the questions. I mean, I've been sitting here while you two have been talking, going like this, thinking, how can I look better when I zoom back in again? And I was thinking, I need to go and see Maryam with my kind of under-eye fat and see what she can do with it. So I
need to go and see Maryam.
But I think it was fantastic, and I'm really grateful for you both to join us for what I think has been a brilliant start to our Founder Series. And we're so lucky to have had two such amazing women on our Zoom stage. I mean, crikey, Zoom have made a lot of money from all of us this year and aged us. Definitely aged me anyway.
Right, good. I have a screen protector on my screen now from all my Zooms.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, and as we get into the winter, like certainly sitting here today, there's light shining. I need to do something about the lighting. So there's going to be all of that blue light on all of us as well. I just really want to thank you both. Obviously, CEW, we continue offering webinars each week across loads of topics. I always say to the members in the newsletter, please keep in touch with us. We're here for you. It's not about us. So if there's anything you want us to cover, get in touch. If you think you leave this session and think, oh, I wish I'd asked that question, let us know. It's sally@cewuk.co.uk. But for now, go have a great afternoon, make a brew, tune into Caroline's live at 5, watch Maryam.
Thanks.
Yeah, watch Maryam's live at workout this evening. Maryam, I hope you're doing it tonight.
No, I did it yesterday, but thank you.
I'm obsessed. Like, I'm obsessed with that slider thing that you have.
Slider thing. I was like, oh my God, what is that?
Invention ever, because you can slide anywhere and you can do so many exercises. It's really good. I don't even get anything from them, but I love their products. So I'm always tagging them. It's a good product.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's fantastic. And then obviously I know that the Guinea Pig podcast is back on Thursday. And
yes, it starts next week. So we have our first episode next week. So
how have you been doing the podcast remotely? Are you just doing it almost like a Zoom kind of thing, recording it on the computer?
We've done a few in the Zoom, but the one that's coming out, we actually did in person. We're going to be focusing on well-being, health during COVID times, because I think there's a lot of mental stress, anguish, self-care, how to take care of yourself in uncertainty. There's a lot of anxiety around COVID and actually a lot of issues, sitting down at a Zoom call, postures, like what you can do to improve. Yeah, it's true, because you're sitting down like nonstop. So that's going to be our season this fall. And I'm not sure if we go into lockdown how we'll do it, but we'll go back probably to doing it on Zoom or something. There's another.
Do you think we're going to go into another lockdown? I don't think we are.
I think we will.
Long term, you think we will?
Yeah, I think we will go into a short-term lockdown. I think they don't want us to travel. I think they might put travel restrictions on for when the kids are on their holidays. I don't think they can really shut down I hope they won't, but
it's just like, what else? They just can't shut. Like, if they keep the country can't exist being shut down for this long. But it would make sense to stop travel, especially during half term and things like that. People bringing things back to the country and all that kind of thing. Yeah. Although, let's face it, it would be us taking it elsewhere and at the current time.
Yeah, that's true. I also wanted to say to the CEW members who are listening, if you want to go and take a browse onto MZ Skin, and we are offering a little CEW 10 discount, so you can browse and check it out there too.
The products are amazing. The masks have been a lifesaver over the summer, so yeah, they're fantastic. So I can't endorse them enough.
Thank you.
But thank you both. Thanks.
My pleasure.
See you soon. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.